Hello, everybody. Yes, my name is Evidence. Evidence is your name? Yes, it is, girl. I am Evidence. Okay, so this video, I am going to be talking about culture shocks that South Africans are going to face when teaching in Korea, or any person basically that is coming from a Western country. Yes, South Africa is in Africa, but we live more of a Western culture. Um, Okay, so we know that teaching abroad can be one of the best experiences in your life, but culture shock is real. So I wanted to share a few things that surprised me or my friends. So this is not just about the things that surprised me, but more like a generalized video. Okay, maybe in future I'll share more of what kind of like shocked me. Okay, so things may not always be communicated directly, you know, in Korea. So one of the biggest adjustment for me or my friends was communication. So in South Africa or Western world, many of us are used to being quite direct. Yes, still show respect, but direct. But in Korea, people may like communicate more indirectly, indirectly in order to maintain like harmony or avoid conflict. So sometimes we'll think about it may necessarily not mean yes, right? It may simply mean that the person is trying to be polite. So learning to read between the line takes time, and I mean that's okay. So another thing that I just wanted to share is like respect for hierarchy. So respect for hierarchy is really, really important in a Korean society. So Korean society like places a strong emphasis on like respecting age, position, experience. So in schools like there's often a very clear hierarchy between administrators, senior teachers, or newer teachers. So you may not always understand every decision, but showing respect and observing how others interact will help to adjust much faster. Again, this one, I think for some South Africans, is not more of a biggest culture shock depending on the organization where you were coming from. Like in my some of my previous organizations, I mean, we had like CEOs and people that had PhDs. They didn't want to be addressed as Dr. So and so, whereas in some organizations where I worked in South Africa also, there was that hierarchy order where you can see that you need to address this person in a specific way. So it might be a culture shock for some South Africans, but for some might not be because they've experienced both. Okay, so you may feel lonely at first. So this is probably the hardest culture shock for many teachers. Uh, you are far away from your friends, your family, your familiar foods, your support system. So there may be days when you question why you moved, and that's normal. So give yourself some grace. Building friendship and routine takes time. For me, I mean, of course, I moved with my husband, so it was a little bit easier because I had my support system. But again, for some as well, might be a little bit easier if you've always like lived far away from family. So for me, I think even if though maybe if I came alone, maybe the adjustment would have been slightly less difficult because I've always lived far away from my family ever since I went to university. I was literally 16 hours away, let's say about 20 actually, from my family. So even if in varsity, I only saw my family, let's say twice a year. I went home in June and December. And then from then, it's always been my life. So speaking to my family through a video call has been kind of like part of my life for many, many years. But still, I do feel homesick now and again, but it doesn't happen as often because I've kind of like adjusted, like for a very long time. And then another thing, things can change very quickly in Korea. So schedules, events, or plans may sometimes change with tiny bit chukum chukum notice. So at first, this frustrates many of foreigners because many of us like planning ahead, but living abroad has taught, I'll say, me and many of us flexibility and being patient. So Yeah, so if you are planning to teach abroad, don't let culture shock discourage you. So every challenge is also an opportunity for us to grow, to think on our feet. So the schedule changing quickly was a shock, but not like super a big shock, because like my previous work as well, my boss had taught me to think on my feet, because we have always worked with also people from Asian countries. We have worked with, yeah, many people from different countries where I have personally trained. So I kind of like understand that plans can change, and I had to always think on my feet. But still, it's a culture shock. It's not a thing that is more common in South Africa and or other Western countries. So you won't get everything right immediately, right? You'll make mistake. We all make mistake, misunderstanding situations, and probably have a few embarrassing moments, and that's completely normal. So the golden key is that we have to stay humble, ask questions, and be willing to learn. And remember that you are not moving like abroad to recreate your home country. We are there to experience a new culture. Looking back, some of the biggest challenges, become some of the greatest lessons. So if you are in a Western country, or you are South African teaching in Korea, or you are planning to move soon, uh, you know, you can leave your questions and your experiences in the comments. I would like to really hear from you, and don't forget to encourage someone else, someone who might be wanting to quit teaching or working abroad. Encourage them to say, this is not your country. You have to understand them, though you don't agree with them. Understand them, respect their country, respect their culture, become part of them. Because I think if if they come to your country, you'll at least expect them to respect your culture. Like, for an example, I know, like, South Africans, we are very bubbly, and I think it's not just South Africans, Americans, we like very talkative, small talks there and there. But when we are in Korea, we still have to respect their spaces, like not being too noisy when we're in a public transportation and stuff like that, and respect them. We wouldn't want them to feel a little bit um uh what's that, uncomfortable when we are around them. So yeah, um stay blessed, God bless, and cheers.